You know that moment when someone says something and it just wrecks your entire day? What if I told you that feeling only lasts 90 seconds? Unless you keep feeding it. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Anger is a choice. Neurologically speaking, those stress chemicals that make you want to punch a wall, they flush out in exactly 90 seconds. But we keep the anger alive. We replay the story, rehearse our comeback. It's like having a smoke alarm go off when you burn toast, but you just keep making more toast. Next time someone cuts you off in traffic, notice what happens. Your body floods with stress hormones. That's the 90 seconds. But then you start the story. What an idiot. And suddenly, you're still pissed off 20 minutes later. When you understand this 90-second rule, you realize something powerful. You have a choice point. You can let the chemicals flush or feed the fire. Everyone knows someone who stays calm no matter what happens. They're not superhuman. They just know something you're about to learn. They really know how to push my buttons. We say this like we're helpless remote controls, but nobody can push buttons you don't give them. Here's the myth that'll piss you off. We think other people have magical powers over our emotions, but buttons only work when they're connected to something. Those buttons, they're actually unhealed wounds. Values violations from your past. When someone pushes your buttons, they're showing you exactly where you need healing. Your coworker makes that sarcastic comment that always sets you off. Instead of reacting, ask yourself, what is this really about? Maybe it reminds you of your critical parent. Suddenly the coworker isn't pushing your buttons, they're revealing them. When you stop being a remote control, you become the operator of your own emotional state. Nobody gets to decide how you feel except you. Here's something that'll blow your mind. What you call anger isn't actually anger. Anger is the emotional equivalent of a security guard. It shows up to protect feelings like hurt, fear, or shame. When someone criticizes you and you get angry, you're not really angry. You're hurt that they don't see your value. Anger feels safer than vulnerability, so it volunteers to be the spokesperson. But it's lying to you. Your partner forgets your anniversary and you explode in anger. But underneath that anger, hurt. Do I not matter to you? When you address the hurt instead of expressing the anger, a real shift happens. I felt forgotten gets a very different response than you never remember anything. Between every trigger and your response, there's a space. In that space lies your freedom. Most people don't even know this space exists. Viktor Frankl discovered this in a Nazi concentration camp. No matter what happens to you, you always have the freedom to choose your response. That trigger hits. Your body floods with chemicals. But before you react, there's a microsecond of choice. Someone sends you a passive-aggressive email. Your first impulse? Fire back immediately. But in that moment before you hit send, ask yourself, what response would I be proud of tomorrow? That question activates your choice point. This is your emotional superpower. It's the difference between being a pinball bouncing off circumstances or being the player controlling the game. What if you could watch your emotions like weather patterns, instead of being swept away by every storm? Inside you is an observer, a part that can watch your emotions without becoming them. You notice, anger is arising, heart rate increasing. But you don't become the anger, you observe it. This observer self is always calm, always present. Your teenager rolls their eyes at you. Instead of immediately getting defensive, activate your observer. I notice irritation rising. Now you're watching the emotion instead of being hijacked by it. From this space, you can choose a response that actually helps. What if difficult people aren't obstacles in your path, but personal trainers for your emotional fitness? This perspective shift will change how you see every challenging person. Every difficult person is showing you exactly where you need to grow. That critical boss? They're training your resilience muscle. That passive-aggressive neighbor? Developing your boundary-setting skills. Just like a physical trainer puts you through uncomfortable exercises to make you stronger, emotional trainers build your emotional strength. Your micromanaging boss sends their 15th email today. Instead of thinking, they don't trust me, try, they're helping me practice staying calm under pressure. Suddenly, this isn't personal persecution, it's emotional strength training. When difficult people become trainers, you stop being a victim. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're gates, with you as the gatekeeper. Healthy boundaries are like the skin on your body. They let good things in and keep harmful things out. You just need to be clear. I understand you're frustrated, but I don't respond well to yelling. Can we talk when you're calmer? This isn't aggressive, it's a sign of. Your friend constantly complains but never wants solutions. Set a boundary. I care about you, but I can only listen to this problem for 5 minutes. Boundaries preserve your capacity to actually help people instead of burning out from their drama. You can't pour from an empty cup. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is temporarily remove yourself from a triggering situation. This isn't weakness, it's wisdom. I need to take a break from this conversation. Let's continue when I can respond thoughtfully instead of reactively. You're not abandoning, you're approaching more skillfully. Timeouts prevent damage that takes weeks to repair. 5 minutes of space can save hours of cleanup conversations. Your triggers aren't random, they follow patterns. People who remind you of your critical parent, situations that echo past rejections. When you map these patterns, you stop being surprised by your reactions. Ah, this person's tone reminds me of my ex-boss who never trusted my judgment. Knowledge is power. When you see the landmine, you can step around it instead of stepping on it. Keep a simple trigger journal for 1 week. When you get triggered, note, who was involved? What did they say? What did it remind you of? You'll start seeing patterns. I always get triggered by authority figures who are impatient. Or, sarcasm always sets me off. You can care about someone without carrying their emotions. You can love someone without living their drama. Compassionate distance means maintaining emotional boundaries while keeping your heart open. You witness someone's pain without absorbing it. It's like being a lifeguard. You throw them a life preserver, but you don't jump in and drown with them. You're not experiencing reality. You're experiencing your story about reality. Change the story, change your emotional experience. Every time someone triggers you, your mind creates a story. They don't respect me. They're trying to control me. But these are interpretations, not facts. Your boss gives you feedback in a curt email. Story 1. They hate my work and want to fire me. Result? Anxiety and defensiveness. Story 2. They're busy and want to help me improve quickly. Result? Curiosity and gratitude. Same email, different story, completely different experience. Integration happens through consistent practice, not perfection. Start with one technique and use it for a week. When someone triggers you, remember the 90-second rule. When you feel reactive, find your choice point. Each time you're rewiring your brain. The person who never gets bothered by anyone isn't born different. They've just practiced these skills until they became automatic. You can too.